Please let's give her another clap. Now, the National Gender and Equality Commission plays a very critical role in promoting gender equality, inclusion, and the rights of vulnerable groups in the society. It was established as a constitutional commission, and its primary role is to monitor, facilitate, and advise on the implementation of laws, policies, and the programs that address gender equality and non-discrimination. We are lucky to have the chairperson of KICC with us. Honorable Rehema, kindly come and give your remarks.
Dr. Raymond Molo, PS Interior and National Coordination, PS Anne Wangombe, State Department of Gender and Affirmative Action, PS Rono, Parliamentary Affairs, Madam Harriet Chigai, Presidential Advisor on Women's Issue, the Chair of Task Force, Honorable Nancy Baraza, the task force members, chairs of Constitutional Commission, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Today's swearing in of the Technical Working Group on GBV and Femicide represent a significant step forward in our collective fight against gender-based violence and femicide. These are not just individual crimes, but a systemic issue that undermines the very fabric of our society, threatening the dignity, safety, and equality of countless women and girls across Kenya. As the National Gender and Equality Commission, we are constitutionally mandated to promote gender equality and protect the rights of the most vulnerable group. Our role in the fight to ensure that policies, laws, and systems are not only in place, but are effectively implemented to safeguard the lives and hold perpetrators accountable. This Technical Working Group Kenya group is a key platform to drive this agenda. It will spearhead efforts in strengthening policy and legislation. We will push for the full implementation of existing laws and advocate for reform where gaps exist. Coordinating responses. By bringing together government agencies, civil society, and developing partners, we aim to ensure a unified, impactful approach to tackling gender-based violence and femicide. It will ensure enhancing accountability. Reliable data is critical to understanding the scale of problem and driving evidence-based intervention. This will be a priority focus for us. Promoting behavioral change. Ending GBV and femicide require addressing deeply entrenched cultural norms. We must work to create awareness, foster dialogue, and empower communities to challenge harmful practices. Femicide, in particular, is a devastating manifestation of gender inequality, and it robs families of loved ones, our nation, the invaluable contribution of women and girls. This is unacceptable. As we embark on this journey, I call on all stakeholders to remain committed, collaborative, and relentless in action. Let us reject silence and impunity, support survivors, and work toward a society where every person, regardless of gender, lives free from fear, harm, and discrimination. Together, we can and must end gender-based violence and femicide in Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Rehema. and welcome to the space. The National Commission on Human Rights is, as it is well known to you, that it's an independent institution which was established to promote, protect, and monitor the realization of human rights in this country. And its primary focus is to ensure that individuals and groups enjoy their fundamental rights and freedom as guaranteed by the Constitution, laws, and of course the human rights treaties, the international ones, as well as the laws, if any. So anyway, the reason as to why I'm giving this background is for us to understand how they are coming into this mix. And with us, we are privileged to have the Vice Chairperson of Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, Dr. Raymond. Dr. Raymond, kindly come and give your remarks.
Thank you. The PS Interior, Dr. Raymond Omolo, PS Health, PS Ann Wangombe, PS Rono, the President's Advisor on Women's Rights, Ms. Harriet Chikai, the Chairperson of the Technical Working Group on GBV and Femicide, Dr. Nancy Barasa, all distinguished members of the Technical Working Group. My name is Dr. Raymond Nyeris, and I'm going to give my brief remarks. Today, our country marks a great step towards the fight against gender-based violence and femicide. The Kenya National Commission on Human Rights lauded His Excellency the President for establishing this technical working group that seeks to identify the underlying causes towards addressing these deep-seated social ills. As a country, our strongest safeguard is the Bill of Rights enshrined in the Constitution of Kenya that protects the rights to life and provides for every person to be treated with dignity and not to be subjected to any form of violence, cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment. The Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, as mandated by the Constitution of Kenya and its enabling act, stands as the country's principal institution for the promotion and protection of human rights in our country. The Commission upholds the high standards of independence, credibility, and effectiveness in advancing human rights and justice in our country. The Commission is deeply alarmed by the rising cases of gender-based violence in Kenya, and we continue condemning the spate of violence that's happening in our country. Those who commit these heinous crimes impact on our society directly, since the victims are our mothers, daughters, sisters, and nieces. Femicide in Kenya must end. As the principal advisor on human rights, the Commission remains at the forefront of raising awareness, building the capacity of duty bearers, particularly state agencies at both level, national and county levels, towards combating this heinous crime of GBV. Moreover, the Commission continues to advocate for relevant law, policy, and institutional reforms on issues advisories to state human rights and fighting GBV, and hope that this will translate to increased case reporting, investigation, and empowering survivors to pursue justice in their respective areas in this country. The Quest for Justice, ladies and gentlemen, by survivors and their families, strengthens accountability and institutions to see to it that perpetrators are brought to book. Further, the Commission continues to partner with state and non-state actors to strengthen oversight and seek compliance of Kenya's international, regional, and national obligations related to sexual and reproductive health rights, ending gender-based violence and harmful cultural practices that hinder enjoyment of human rights by women and girls in our beloved country. GBV, ladies and gentlemen, and femicide is eroding the very fabric of our society, undermining social cohesion and perpetuating cycles of fear and inequality. It poses a significant threat to human development by hindering progress in education, economic empowerment, and public health, ultimately impeding the realization of just and equitable society for all. I want to add the technical working group to adopt a human rights-based approach in the execution of the mandate, and we propose and recommend that they seek to promote meaningful participation and inclusion of right holders to shape solutions that are inclusive, responsive, and culturally appropriate. They should also adopt a gender-sensitive, disability, child-centered, and intersectional approach that recognizes the diverse and compounded vulnerabilities faced by different groups in our country. They should also align its interventions with the government's agenda for women and girls as outlined in our laws and human rights conversations and conventions. They should also seek ways of receiving input of the age group, that's the youth, who are most at risk, including those in schools, married, and other fronts. As I conclude, ladies and gentlemen, I reiterate that in the face of escalating cases of gender-based violence and femicide, the Kenyan National Commission on Human Rights remains steadfast in its advocacy, amplifying the voices of survivors, holding duty bearers accountable, and driving systemic change to ensure our country is free from all forms of violence and discrimination. Lastly, to uphold a human-based approach, our guest, we were surprised that the Kenya National Commission of Human Rights, considering its mandate, was not and is not, up to this time, a member of this important technical working group. And we want to humbly request the Honorable PS, please consider, take this one so that we can together join hands in ensuring that we give our input and contribution in this. With those few remarks, I want to thank you all and wish this very important group the very best as they discharge their mandate. Asante sana.
Thank you so much, Dr. With us, we have PS for State Department for Parliamentary Affairs. A number of times, people have laughed at us, that is myself and my sister, PS Umi, Culture, Heritage, and the Arts, saying that we are orphans, but I want to declare here and now that we are not orphans, because we have a very able acting cabinet secretary who happens to be the prime cabinet secretary. At one point, of course, I worked under him as the PS for performance and delivery management. And I worked very closely with PS Parliamentary Affairs. Many times when our prime cabinet secretary is not in a position to attend our functions, he delegates to none other than PS Parliamentary Affairs. She has been very supportive, and her role is to bridge the gap between the executive and the legislature. So it is a very critical role. She ensures that we have very smooth coordination in legislative processes, policy formulation, etc. So should this committee or task force find that we have some gaps in the legal and policy frameworks, she will come in handy because she happens to be that bridge between the executive and the legislation. So allow me to invite her to just say hello to us and maybe give her remarks as well. Karibu sana, Madam Aurelia. And I've also noticed that a member of the Oversight Committee has arrived. That is PS Motari. Karibu sana, Madam Aurelia. Sorry for pushing you.
Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity to give some brief remarks. My colleague, Dr. Raymond Omolo, PS State Department for Interior and National Administration, Coordination, PS Gender, my good friend, PS Wangombe, PS Motari, I've seen, yes, PS Motari is here. Our chair, very able chair, Dr. Nancy Barasa, National Gender and Equality Commission, Jaldesa, our able lady advisor, presidential advisor on women rights, the esteemed members of this technical working group, the technical committee, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. It's such a great honor to join you this morning as we do the inaugural or inauguration ceremony for this great team. First of all, I want to thank the President for appointing this technical working group on gender-based violence and femicide. That tells us the government, led by His Excellency the President, is determined to ensure that GBV and femicide is a thing of the past in this country. I want to reiterate what the earlier speakers had said, that femicide must end in this country. If you look at what has happened in the recent past, it is really horrific. Really, really horrific. People carrying motionless bodies, mutilated across streets. It is really horrific. And that means this task force has a huge responsibility to ensure that this issue is dealt with. I congratulate you sincerely for being appointed to this task force. But I know you have a lot to do. And again, we have confidence in you. When I look across, I've sat with you in a number of meetings, and the experience that our chair, Nancy Barasa, has over these years. I was telling her when we were in the holding room, I was actually congratulating her, including other women who came early those days and fought for our rights. And that's why we are here, even us, as PSS ladies, as members of parliament ladies, is because of the effort that was done by our women in the past, including our chair, Dr. Nancy Barasa. So we have confidence in you, and me is to wish you all the best. We shall be there with you, supporting you in prayers. In this, you also have to put prayers. I heard someone say it's not an easy thing, but whenever we involve God in what we do, we are going to be successful. I know that we have the supreme law of the land that is talking about the right to life of every citizen of this country. I know that we have other legislation, that we have other statutes or acts like the prohibition against the gender-based violence, like protection against domestic violence, like Sexual Offences Act, and so many others. But now it is this team to look at what is the gap in these laws. What is the gap in these laws? And then we unbundle the issues. What is the root cause of this thing? Is it societal issues? Is it cultural issues? Is it cultic? It is this team that is going to help this country sort out that issue. Coming from the State Department for Parliamentary Affairs that is coordinating government legislative agenda, I'm also aware that the State Department for Gender has, and affirmative action, has some initiatives that we have captured in the government legislative agenda. So going forward, I know once we identify the gap, whether it's a policy gap, it's a legislative gap, it's a regulatory gap, then we shall be working together with the State Department that is coordinating the realization of strong legislative framework to deal with this issue. I sincerely want to wish you all the best, and if possible, Chair, if possible, if there is room to add a secretariat, probably you can, it depends on whether there is still room, then we can nominate one person from the State Department for Parliamentary Affairs, because we have a list of what ministries are working on, then we can be, you can be, I want to believe that person will be very instrumental serving as a secretariat. So with those few remarks, I sincerely want to wish you the best. You have what it takes, you have God with you, and we are going to succeed through the recommendations that you are going to give as a technical working group. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, my sister. PS Motari, ukiona mwenzako akinyolewa. So we work very closely with the State Department for Social Protection, and they are mainly responsible for promoting the welfare and the rights of vulnerable populations, including children, elderly persons, persons with disabilities, the marginalized groups, etc. And we are happy that you are a member of the Oversight Committee. Kindly come and give some remarks. Thank you.
Thank you so much, PS Anne Wangumbe, PS Raymond Omolo, my brother, Anne Wangumbe, the PS for Gender and Affirmative Action, our chair, Dr. Nancy Baraza, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. Sorry for coming late. I knew it was at 11, but it's unfortunate that when I called her, she told me I was meant to be here a little bit earlier. So it's quite unfortunate that I'm late, and therefore I may not really have got what has been discussed earlier. Chair, mine is to appreciate, as the PS Aurelia has said, to appreciate His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, for appointing us and for seeing it fit within his mandate that femicide and GBV is indeed not only bad but very, very dangerous. And therefore, he appointed us to see to it what is it that can be done to end femicide and GBV in this nation. My sister, PS Anne Wangumbe, we always say we are joined by the hips, because you cannot isolate a mother and a child. The femicide and GBV is mostly done on the women. And when this mother goes, what happens to the child? When a disabled or an older person is harmed, what happens to this child again? So we work very, very closely, and we want to see to it what is it that can be done to make sure that femicide is no longer in this country. This is a vice that we must condemn with its strongest terms possible. Allow me to say this, that social protection, you cannot isolate it with all that happens in the nation. Social protection is the carrier, is the mother, is the base of the nation. So when one's life is taken, definitely there's an impact on those who have been left. And again, it is not right to take anybody's right. Even the Bible does not allow to take anyone's life. So please, we are equal to the task, and Chair, you are able enough. We'll support you. As my sister has said, if we can have a secretariat, that will make our work easier. If you see it fit as a chair, it will be good for us. Therefore, we are there. We'll support you, Chair, and we will work very, very closely. I thank you. Without much ado, I appreciate and I thank you. Thank you so much.
PS Dr. Dakota, welcome. He's also a member of the Oversight Committee. Allow me to break protocol a bit. For the first time, the country has an advisor to the President on women's rights.